Good morning, everybody. So, I want to show you a different way of understanding my information within the last couple days as far as cancer and viruses, and then also understanding what's truly behind the vaccine schedule, and that Bill Gates is actually not a bad guy. But I was listening to, last night I was listening to this interview between, I don't know this guy's name, but Alex Jones. And Alex Jones was defending himself in a lot of ways because this guy was really trying to figure out if Alex Jones really truly believes everything that he's putting out there. And Alex still believes, even though he says that, yes, Sandy Hook did happen, Alex Jones still believes that Bill Gates is like the evil nemesis of our society. Hey, good morning, Kathy and everybody. And I'm going to tell you that Bill Gates truly understands what is going on planet Earth. And when you look at the computers that we are dealing with, and you look at the different software, especially the virus protection software, he understands that humans and computers are actually no different. Computers have to have a firewall, they have to have a layer of protection, they have to have a lot of different things. And if you don't have that layer of protection on your computer, guess what? How many viruses you are subject to? You are subject to everything on the internet as far as viruses and other types of malicious malware and programming. Okay? So I want to give you a really very specific what's in black and white as far as the viruses you're already exposed to. And this is programming. Viruses are programming, just so you know. Yes, my sugar is up down here. This is the vaccine schedule, okay? There are 54 viruses that you're exposed to. The vaccines aren't causing your issues. It's the fact that you're exposed to all of these different viruses. And on a weaker system, a person would not be able to handle getting these viruses in their natural environment. Now, some will because their body is relatively strong. But when you have 54 programs being uploaded into your body, whether it's through bodily contact, through communicable like airborne, through mosquitoes, inherited from parents, guess what happens? When you have 54 corrupted programs to your body, 54 programs of a corrupted source, and not because of the vaccines. Yes, the vaccines are going to help give you a layer of protection because of your exposure. But if you have 54 types of programs that are corrupting your body, guess what happens? You have cancer, disease, chronic illness, obesity, rage, regret, depression, skin issues, cancer, disease, and chronic illness. That's what you have. I saw somebody I used to know a long time ago ask about getting tonsils out. What was their experience? You understand that your tonsils are the first layer of protection through your throat when you get exposed to a virus. Kids that get their tonsils taken out have lost that layer of protection. So when they eat food or get exposed to different types of viruses through their mouth, guess where those viruses have entered in? That's an easy entrance. And guess where they're going to embed? In the weakest part of that child's body. And then it's laying the groundwork for future cancer, disease, and chronic illness. People don't realize this, that anytime you take out organs in your body, it causes mutations, it causes weakness, and then yes, viruses that are left unresolved will exploit those areas. So this was really a sobering thought. It really is. And the vaccine schedule is not causing people's cancer, disease, and chronic illness because you're going to come upon these viruses in your environment without getting a vaccine. However, since these vaccines are attenuated. They're a weaker version of the actual thing that's out there. The symptoms are milder relative to what you could potentially come upon in the population from a very extremely pathogenic person. Viruses cause mutations. Viruses are what's behind cancer and disease and chronic illness. Viruses are communicable. Viruses are catching. Then we discover that cancer is communicable. And now, yes, I put it out there. So yes, it's going to stigmatize the sick population, because anyone that's sick with any type of whatever disease, doesn't matter what it is, and even obesity, everything, anything that you are getting diagnosed with, that you're dealing with as a symptom, it is communicable. Okay? It truly is. And so this is where the J juice comes in, because the lactobacillus, regardless of what strain it is, people are going like, well, what strain's in, like, the cabbage and kale? No. It doesn't matter what lactobacillus strain it is that you're dealing with. The lactobacillus strains in the cabbage and kale are paired with the right elements. They're paired with the salt, which gives you electrolytes, and they're paired with the cabbage and it neutralizes them. So your 11. So the 54 viruses that you're already exposed to in the environment from pathogenic kids as well as people, or in the vaccine, because they have to give people a layer of protection who are weak, they are uploading some really corrupt programming. And guess what you see? You see generational obesity in families. You see generational lupus, fibromyalgia, breast cancer, skin cancer, brain cancer, testicular cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer. What else? Depression, rage, regret, all of this stuff. And you wonder why it is you're having all these issues, because you have viruses in your body that you have not dealt with and purged out. And guess what? That uploaded programming is going to continuously program your body to then make anomalous messages to all the 11 different systems in your body. And then you'll be going like, well, what should I get now? Cannabis? Should I go and get another prescription drug? Should I go get another procedure done? Should I get an organ taken out? And then people get paranoid and they start going into the conspiracy world, and then they start blaming everybody, like, oh, and then they start changing their diet. Oh, instead of going to eating processed food, I'm going to eat organic. But that organic food, that celery juice, is no match against the 54 programs. Plus, because not all the viruses you're exposed to is listed on the CDC schedule. There's HIV, there's Ebola. There's stuff that you see through ProMed that I keep posting on my Facebook. All those emerging diseases in foreign countries and third world countries, they're coming to the US, and they're going to shapeshift because humans mutate viruses. And then guess what? It's going to be a new disease that your kid's going to get, because they're not protected, of course. You're going to get, and then you're going to then pass down to the next generation as well as your children. And then we're going to see all these new diseases and new deformities in our population. And we wonder why. Well, this is the reason why. Because we keep taking out organs. We keep trying to find superficial programming that will not at all match the programming of these 54 plus. I would say there's probably 100 viruses that your body's been exposed to that you're not dealing with. And then you wonder why it is you have issues. Well, there you go. Here's the reason why. And then you apply the wrong programming. You're like, oh, I'm going to do cannabis. Cannabis is a death program. It's antibiotic. It is no match for your body if you already have 100 viruses left unresolved, and you're applying cannabis, and you're applying, chemotherapy, which fine, okay. Some people get a stay of execution with cannabis and chemotherapy, but it still, contributes to the death trajectory. It may temporarily interrupt and kill off the programming, of those viruses for that moment in time, but it still leaves your body weak. So then you're then left open for another exploitative virus to come in and take up residence. And if you're missing tonsils and you're already immunocompromised, you're basically a sitting duck. Everybody that's not doing J-juice is a freaking sitting duck for any crazy aggressive virus that's out there. And then the CDC is going to see all these new emerging diseases like Ebola or, Japanese encephalitis. And they're going to be like, okay, we got to have a new vaccine because we have people who are not healthy. who don't care about their bodies. Literally, they say they do, but they really don't. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. But you want to take shortcuts, guess what? Then you have to take the vaccine because you're not giving your body what it needs. And so they have to give you a layer of protection that you don't understand. You need antibodies, a certain amount, to help mitigate against a major attack from a very aggressive virus. But then what happens is, what people don't realize is that if they don't get those antibodies under control, it agglutinates and then turns into the disease. So now you have a responsibility to keep those antibodies in check. And this is why people get cancer, because they don't take the responsibility to keep those antibodies and yeast and hormones in check. And they wonder why it is their life sucks, why it is they're always just posting the most saddest thing about their life. You know why? Because you're basically subject to the virus programming that you have not dealt with. And you will continue to go down that road of rage and regret. Like, seriously. So, with the whole thing with J-Juice, it's black and white. You either go get all those different protocols from the allopathic holistic world and contribute to the death trajectory of your body, or you actually feel and heal. And then watch your body change and morph back to what it was originally intended. You guys look at your past pictures from years ago. You see your body steadily taking on weight, taking on excess collagen, taking on more, symptoms of different diseases. You see your body breaking down. There's a reasoning behind it. It's called the death programming from these viruses that you have not dealt with. And then there's cancer. So it's just a matter of time. For most of you out there that's not doing J-Juice, you're going to contract something. Just a matter of time. Some of you have already have viruses in your body that you're trying to keep at bay with different drugs. And then different, let's say you're doing a lot of jogging or eating organic, or you're putting yourself in like a dungeon type of thing where you're avoiding specific foods so it doesn't trigger something. Oh, it's just a matter of time before then you then paint yourself in such a corner where you can't eat anything at all. Now your life is totally miserable because now you can only eat now 1 or 2 items of food, and that's it, because everything else is going to aggravate your issues. You're on that, and then your kids are going to be then painted in that same corner. Their life is going to be predictable because they've inherited not only your viruses, but they've also been exposed to viruses that their body is not resolving. And you see everything's predictable in families. And then the kids are limited in their options as far as careers and dating and whatever else. That's unfortunate, but that's our society, because we're stuck in the conspiracy world. We're stuck doing shortcuts, and we don't know how to change our life in an aggressive way. No matter what, somebody tries to give us something, we ignore it. I try to help out my friends, and then it falls on deaf ears. So I back off. Like, you know what? You deal with the programming. You asked for it. And y'all blaming Big Pharma for having all these drugs that are bad for you, but you keep asking for it because you don't take care of yourself. You don't change your programming. You keep wanting the same stuff, so Big Pharma gives you what you want. That's your own fault. That's not Big Pharma's fault. If you change your requests and change your priorities, maybe we won't have to have Big Pharma around here. So stop blaming Big Pharma. Stop blaming everything else out there. Start looking inward. When I was over at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, yes, I was accosted by viruses. It changed my programming for a bit over the weekend. So when I did, my juice yesterday, I did major waterfalls. I had only a slight headache. The last time I went out to go to a different state to visit some friends, I ate a bunch of really crazy food. It was good food, but there was viruses in that food. And when I did the waterfalls, I had a major headache because I was majorly, I was reprogramming my body, because that food programs you. The reason why the food programs you is because there's viruses and other types of pathogens. And it does happen immediately. Food that you don't know where it comes from, even organic food, is still subject to all the different viruses and whatever, and the journey through getting to your table. You cannot prevent pathogens, bacterias that are pathogenic, funguses, spores, parasite eggs. You can't avoid it. And you eat fast food, you eat organic food. It doesn't matter what kind of food you eat. If you're not keeping up with the programming in your body, the right, proper programming, you will be subject to the programming that's in your environment. So if there is the norovirus in your environment, if there is the influenza virus in your environment, if there is the herpes or the HPV virus in your environment, you're taking on that programming. The people you hang out with have specific viral programmings that you're taking on and exemplifying. That's why I say be careful with people who you hang out with, because you will take on their programming, their virus programming, not just mental, but when your biochemistry is exposed to viruses, it changes your mentality, and then you start acting like your friends who are still very mutated. And then you can't get out of that rut until you actually segregate yourself, change your own programming, and keep to your independent thought process. But you start taking part in all the bullying, all the activism, hanging out with your friends or drinking every Friday night, and you're going to go tie one on every single weekend, you're taking on somebody else's programming. No independent thought, because you're taking on viruses and you're not kicking them out of your body. And then you see your body go to shit over time. Every single year, watch yourself. You take pictures of yourself, you can see the differences. I saw every single year my body started taking on more water weight, more fat. I was becoming more depressed, more upset with the way that my life was turning out. And then I got caught up in the conspiracy world. Then I was just pissed off because I had no control over what was going on, because I was basically programmed by these damn viruses that I had no control over, until I figured out this damn juice that is so freaking controversial. And I don't know how cabbage water and salt can be so controversial, but damn it, it can be. Makes you wonder. I don't even think it's a fermented juice. I think it's what the claims that I'm making is what really is rock the boat. People are so used to being sick and so being used to dying. Anyone saying that they don't have to die or they don't have to live with missing organs and missing things, they can't even wrap their freaking mind around that. And then they think it's blasphemy. They think I'm just some crazy cult leader. Well, no, sorry, but the science has been substantiated in different contexts. But hey, y'all want your shortcuts. You want your freaking drugs. You want your pills, powder, and supplements. You want your alcohol every weekend because you're so damn stressed. That's your programming. But don't be like saying, oh God, my life sucks and I need to change it, but then don't do shit about it. And then when I try to help you out, you totally ignore me and think that I'm just weird. Because let me tell you, I've tried to help a lot of people out. And they're just like, oh yeah, whatever, it's not really that important. But that's okay. But that's part of the depopulation agenda. It's self-induced. The depopulation agenda is self-induced. You are actually depopulating yourself if you don't understand this information. Because we have 54 freaking viruses that are uploading crazy ass codes in your body and is causing your cancer, disease, obesity, and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders. So you tell me who's crazy. If you're happy with your life, then you don't need to change it. But most of you, especially on Facebook, are not happy with your life, and it shows. So you either do something about it or you just keep complaining until you pass away. So anyways, I had to really put this out in black and white because, a friend of mine is going to get her tonsils out. So she's going to lose that layer of protection. Those viruses are going to enter into her throat and into her body easily because she doesn't have that line of defense anymore. And it's going to take up residence in the weaknesses of her body. And I already see it's going to be so predictable. I'm going to say in maybe less than 5 or 10 years, something is going to happen. Because we have weaknesses in our body from mutations. Because even simple reproduction is based upon mutations. So if you have children, you have mutations. Your children have mutations. And those are weaknesses that those viruses, not just from the vaccines, but what's also in your environment, are going to exploit those weaknesses in your children as well as in you. And it's just a matter of time. It'll be like clockwork. And that's easy to predict. Very easy to predict. And it's gotten me hated because I'm speaking the truth. I'm not a doctor. I'm not subject to bedside manner. I'm not subject to being politically correct. No, J-Juice is not politically correct. We're not going to sugarcoat this shit for you and make you feel like, oh yeah, you have no responsibility. It's all us. It's all the medical community has responsibility. Oh no, you have 100% responsibility, parents as well as individuals. So it's either the programming of these viruses that you're exposed to, or the right programming with the right data. And that is the right probiotics matched with the right elements, with the right electrolytes, with the right nutritional benefit. And then yes, you have to deal with pain. Okay? Now there are ways where you can deal with pain to where it's not so aggressive and torturous. But some of you are so sick that you may not be able to handle the healing process, because some of it can be very painful for some of you. Others, not so much. Others are just young. Maybe you're a little bit overweight, but you're not, really that sick. And then you'll be able to handle, just having to heal and still trying to maintain a job, maintain your 2, 3, 5, 10 kids. Maybe you have an okay support system, but you're going to have to make time for the healing. And if you don't make time for the healing, then you make time for all those shortcuts, and then that will then shorten your life, because it's going to. You already see your predecessors. You've seen your parents. I mean, you already know what's in store for you. Just look at your parents. Some of you are okay with that. But I'm giving you guys a potential possibility, a way out of that. Potential. I'm not promising anything, because now it's based upon your understanding. And this ain't this ain't easy. But better now before you get into hospice, because once you get into hospice, you will, the juice won't kill you, but you will not be able to handle the pain, because pain is healing. You're releasing the right proper hormones to aid in the healing process, and that is the pain sensation. So if you can't handle pain now, really, and you're not that sick, I mean, you are sick, but you're not that sick, better to deal with it now than wait until you're 1 foot away from the grave. When you get diagnosed with pancreatic cancer or some kind of cancer, and then now you're faced with chemotherapy, cannabis, the Gerson method, all of these different methods out there that will not match. That programming of the Gerson method, chemotherapy, cannabis is no match for the amount of viruses, because even if you did temporarily stop the programming, now you got to reprogram your body, because now that you stop the programming with whatever, maybe chemotherapy did work, maybe the cannabis did work, maybe the Gerson method did work, but now you have to reprogram your body to be able to handle your exposure. And if you don't know how to reprogram your body correctly, guess what? You're now another sitting duck for another exploitative virus that's going to find more weakness, because that chemotherapy, cannabis, Gerson method is going to weaken other parts of your body, which means that more viruses are going to come in and take up residence. And then either your cancer is going to come back, or you have a new disease. So the choice is yours. You have to apply the right programming. You can't get a free antivirus for a major virus attack on your computer. You then have to go and get your laptop or whatever to some computer doctor that will go in and do whatever it got to do, or you have to go pay for a very expensive antivirus program to clean up your whole computer system. People are applying the wrong methods, the wrong programming to their cancer, disease, and chronic illness. Celery juice is no match for 54 fucking viruses that you have uploaded into your body. Celery juice and organic food is no freaking match. Cannabis and chemotherapy is the wrong programming. Maybe it might stop the programming of your death process, but it's not going to last very long, because you don't know how to reprogram your body correctly, and it's obvious. All right, so choice is yours. You can laugh, you can angry face all you want, but just what, it's predictable. So those of you that don't understand J-Juice and you're all laughing saying, oh, Jillian's killing everybody, just look at your own life. Look at your issues that you have, all of your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, how many prescription drugs, how many detoxes you're taking, how many times are you running around in circles in the gym thinking that you're being healthy? Yeah, who has a last laugh? People on J-Juice, because those that don't get it, they're going to watch themselves degrade, and they're going to watch their friends around them degrade, and they'll wonder why. Well, now that you were exposed to this information, you have a choice, and you've chosen to laugh at J-Juice and ignore J-Juice. Okay, your life is predictable. Have a good day.